Now it's 2018 and you may be looking to start on Fiverr, but you don't know how to use it. So in this video, I'll be explaining how to use Fiverr and the difference between buyer and seller accounts, and just helping you to understand the system a little bit better. Hi, I'm Brandon Young. On this channel, I talk about investing, making money, starting businesses, and how to make multiple streams of income, baby. So if you're new here, consider subscribing. Now, Fiverr is one of those things where it can help you if you have an existing business, but also it's a way for you to create your own business on the marketplace. Now, if you're curious to see how we do this, let's head to the computer so I can explain it a little bit more. Now, for those of you getting started on Fiverr, Fiverr is a marketplace for getting things done for the start of $5. I mean, a lot of people have this misconception that everything on the website is just for $5, but no, it's starting at $5. So don't get that confused. There can be things going up to $5,000 and much more. So don't get that confused, but you can get things done, or you can sell things starting at $5. Now, you can get services such as, AdWords or Amazon product listings. The list goes on and on. So to get started, we're going to get started as what it's like to be an actual buyer. So the first thing is, how do we search for certain items? So if you want to search for a service, all you got to do is go to the top left and you'll see box that says find services, and this is how we find services. So you would basically put in what you want. So if you want logo design, just put in logo design, and then once you see what you want, you would quickly go to whichever gig that you wanted. As you can see, you would choose which basic, and the different categories have different prices. So basic would be $35, standard would be $65, premium would be $115. This is for this particular seller, and if we wanted to buy this, we would quickly go into continue, and then you would choose any ad extras that you would want to add to the actual gig, and then you would lastly press order now, and that would let you order the gig if that is what you wanted to do. Now, I'm not going to buy this gig because I don't want logo design, but I was just quickly showing you guys how you can do this on your own if you wanted to buy a gig. Now, if you're a seller, that's probably one of the most important things that you're going to want to know how to do, but there are times where you may not be able to find the appropriate gig that you want, or there may be things where, like, when you want to put in certain requirements for a gig, the next thing that you're going to want to do is do something called a buyer request. Now, basically what a buyer request is, you basically give a whole description of what you want for your project as a buyer. So say you wanted logo design in a certain way. These are a couple of examples of what a buyer request looks like. This guy said he wants a spokeswoman shot on a green screen for online promo conferences, 420 words, needs to be professional and articulate. So these are examples of a buyer request. Now, if you want to do a buyer request, all you would have to do is go to buying. You'd go to buying, then you'd go to post a request. Then it will say post a request to the seller community. Basically, you have the chance to write your description. So you can write, I'm looking for a logo. Then you can attach, maybe you have a picture of something trying to describe exactly what you want. You attach it there. You would put the corresponding category and subcategory. So we'll put in graphics and design, and we'll put logo design. Then we would select what type of logo we would want. So we'll put 3D, we'll put 24 hours, And lastly, you put in your budget for the service. We'll put 5. And lastly, we will post it so you can basically see an example of how it looks. Now, looking for a logo of a horseman for my horse carriage business. Just an example, but yeah, then you would post it. And then basically Fiverr can offer you, some gigs that they seem fit for your buyer requests. But usually buyer requests are reviewed by Fiverr before it can actually be accepted. So once that happens, within maybe 4 to 12 hours, your buyer request will be accepted, and then Fiverr will basically post it, and then it'll be on a little thing like this. Let me show you. Basically, this is what the sellers see. And if there's a seller that does logo design, basically if they go to the buyer request section, they'll see your buyer requests on here, and they have the chance to send an offer. Now, these are probably the big 2 things that you need to do as a buyer on Fiverr. Just know how to buy gigs, how to do buyer requests. If there's more, let me know in the comment section below. But we're gonna now go into what it is to be a seller. Now, when you're selling a gig or you're trying to be a business owner on Fiverr, it's very important to, fill out your profile the best way that you can. So on here, we have my profile. Basically, you're able to choose your username. You can put in, your quote, and this is where you get your reviews. You can put where you're from, and it'll basically show when you're a member since, your average response time, your recent delivery, etc., etc. And then you can give a description about yourself down here, the languages that you speak, and then you can add some linked accounts down here. Show your skills, and you can show your education and certifications if need be. Now, one of the most important things that you need to do on Fiverr when getting started as a seller is put a gig on there. Now, as you can see here, I have a gig right here, but I'm gonna go through the process of actually creating a gig for you. Well, we'll just go through my gig so you can actually see what it takes. So I'll edit my gig because I don't want to have to go through the step-by-step process. So basically, the first thing that you do, there's basically 5 categories. There's the overview, pricing, description, frequently asked questions, requirements, and galleries. So the first thing you want to do is you want to fill out a gig title. So basically, it would be, I will be your professional male spokesperson and deliver in 24 hours. Then you would choose your category. So this would fall under video and animation, and this would be a spokesperson and testimonial type gig. Next, you can put your gig metadata. Now, you'll basically you'll select video participants. So you can choose not defined, female, male, puppet, other. You can choose your age range, the range that you're trying to get. Language. So you can just choose English. We'll put English. And accents. You can add some accents so we know we have English, British. File format, don't need that. Background, gender, we'll put not defined so anybody can get us. And lastly, you'll put in your search tags. So just think of things that people search for. So spokesperson, commercial, professional, testimonial are some things that people will probably put in their search bar when searching for a video spokesperson. So after you do that, you'll press save, and we'll go to the next one. Now, the next one is the pricing. So essentially what happens here is there's basic, standard, or premium. You have the choice to name them, so you can name them, you know, semi, I don't know, anything that you want to name it. Just try to put it in the form of something that's basic, standard, and premium so customers don't get confused. Next, in this area, you would basically put, you know, what they would be getting in this gig. So in the basic gig, I offer 55 words with HD quality, and you get to change the background and add a logo. And, you know, basically standard says the same thing, just more words. And premium says the same thing, just more words. You get overlay text along with that, and you can get to change the background. Next, you would put in what your standard delivery for that gig would be. So the basic gig, or all of the gigs, I do basically 2 days delivery. As I say, guys, don't just copy and paste these. You want to basically make sure that you know what your delivery time is, if you'll be able to deliver this at that time. Some people have different things going on. I know as a person I can deliver very fast, but for your case you may be different. So basically just try to follow your own schedule. But yeah, then you would fill in the corresponding spaces with, you know, which one you do. So if it's basic and you do only full HD in background, then you would basically just want to check those boxes. But if you would do more, just like in this premium, you would want to check all those. And then lastly, you would put in your prices. And if you have any gig extras that may include a custom outfit, stock photos, overlay text, you can add those, and you can put it in for an extra amount of money, and you can select how many days extra it will cost or it will take to do that following action. But I'm not going to do that, just so you guys can see it. Now the next thing is the description. So basically it's a description of your gig. So you just type in a description, what your gig is about, what you offer in the complete gig, anything that the customer needs to know. And maybe you can add some frequently asked questions, some things that a lot of customers hit you up for, like, hey, I need to know this information so I can go on with my order. So, you know, you can add that in, so when people go to your gig and they may have a question, they can just go to that first, so you're not constantly bombarded by people asking you a lot of the same questions. Their questions can be answered by just looking at your gig. So we'll save that and go to the next one. The next one is requirements. Now the requirements is like once they get to your gig, they finally filled out or read all the information, or they bought your gig. Basically this is what it's gonna ask them for. So mine's, it says please provide any logos, pictures, or graphics. You need to put in your video. I'm not going to Google research these for you, so be sure to attach them. Add any pronunciation or spelling names in the box below. If you have a video with pronunciation, even better. And lastly, please attach your script here. Please correct all spelling and grammatical errors before sending. These are just a couple of requirements that I offer for my gigs. You can basically do the same thing if you're offering the same type of gigs, but just try to look at what your gig is and try to narrow down what are going to be the things that you need to make this gig successful. So you want to make sure that you have all the aspects. If you're doing logo design, you want to make sure you know exactly what the person wants, what type of layout they want it in. Maybe if it's colored, maybe it's black and white. These are some things to consider. So this is basically the requirements of the gig. We're going to save that. And lastly, we have the gallery. So gallery is basically your gig gallery. So you're able to create a gig video. So when you go on the actual website, sellers or buyers, I mean buyers are able to see what you offer. So here's my video.
I'm Brandon Young, or spokesperson B. Now let's face it, you need a top-notch spokesperson.
But here's like a video
to deliver
that
your
I offer.
company.
You can create a video for yourself, or you can have me create a video for you, either or. But here's a gig photo. You can just basically put a gig photo, and when they're scrolling, they'll be able to see a gig photo of you. And then maybe if you have a lot of logo designs, maybe you have a portfolio, you can attach it so customers can browse your information there. That's basically how you create a gig. That's probably the most important thing on the website, creating a gig. But there's also way more things that you need to know. So we're gonna go to selling, because you need to actually see. So orders. Now this is where you manage your orders. You'll be able to see your priority, your new orders, your active orders, any late orders you have, delivered orders, completed orders. You'll be able to see any canceled orders and start orders. Next thing is the gigs that you have. So if you have any gigs, basically it'll show you what gigs you have. It'll show the amount of impressions. Impressions means the total number of impressions this gig has received on Fiverr in the last 30 days. Basically the amount of times it's been seen or went to. Then this is clicks is the amount of times your gig has been clicked on or viewed. And orders is the amount of orders you got. The amount of cancellations is basically how many times you've canceled or your customer has canceled. Next we have our analytics. So analytics basically shows you how much you've earned in the month, your average selling price, the total amount of orders, and your total earnings for the month. Now basically, if you're like a very well seasoned seller, you're basically gonna have a lot of analytics to show you basically what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong. But as you know, I started this account relatively probably a week or two ago because my old account got deleted. We're not gonna go into that. I'll probably make a separate video on that, but basically it'll show your ratings here. Your world domination just means how much customers worldwide you've worked with. So if you've worked with 15% of the world, it'll basically light up all these other places and then show you where you've worked with. I've only had United States. So the next thing we have is your earnings. So it'll show you basically how much you've earned. It'll give you the chance to use your Fiverr card, direct deposit. You can fund. Basically, it allows a certain amount of time to clear. So this money will clear September 15th and September 17th before I'm able to withdraw it. And that's basically it for, a selling account. Now, basically we do have the inbox where you can see your conversation. They very much did a upgrade on this. This is very great. Before you would have to individually go into every single conversation. It'd be a separate page. Now they have it where you can just see all the people that you talk to, and if you want to press and click and talk to them, you just go and talk to them. If you want to go talk to somebody else, you just press the other person's name and you quickly go to the conversation, which was a great upgrade. And yeah, besides that, that is basically how you use Fiverr and how you can use it to be effective if you want to buy gigs, if you want to sell gigs. Now, if this is something that interests you, if you're willing to learn more or get started on Fiverr as a buyer or seller, be sure to go use my code in the description down below. It will basically help you with your business. It'll help you create logo design if you need marketing. Doesn't matter, it'll help you do all of this. So I know that was a pretty lengthy video, almost 20 minutes, but I wanted to ensure that you saw all the aspects of Fiverr and you knew exactly what you needed to do to, get around the actual platform, because a lot of people start on the platform and don't know what they're doing. So hopefully this video offered some insight on what to do on Fiverr as a buyer and as a seller. But if there are some things that are left out, some things that you didn't understand, be sure to go leave it in the comment section below. because I would love to help you out and help you better understand how to use the platform so you can start to make that money. I want to thank you for watching. Let me know anything that you want a video on. I'll be sure to make that video on. Anyway, thank you for being a loyal subscriber. I'll see you in my next video. Peace.